Thank you for inviting me for this interview. I'm glad that I was able to be present here in Kathmandu for the 6th Business Conclave, purely because I'm one of the few founder members of the SAARC Chamber of Commerce. Just before the SAARC Chamber of Commerce was formally inaugurated, Mr. Inam from Pakistan, a very visionary gentleman, got some people from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, then Nepal and Bhutan, got together, and Mr. Podar from Mumbai, who was the president of FICCI also at that time, was able to get us all together. And we used to have seminars and discussions about Mr. Inam's vision. So Mr. Inam's vision was to form an organization like the European Union, to get the 7 countries at that time together, and we had national federations of chambers of commerce and industry at that time. So he was actually proposing to us and discussed how to form an organization like the European Union. ASEAN at that time was not that vibrant. Then we got some speakers from think tanks come and talk to us. We had for about 1 or 2 years, we used to come to Delhi and participate in these discussions, and we used to discuss how to do this. I was very young at that time. I had a senior person, Mr. Granville Perra, with me at that time from the Federation. He was my senior. He brought me in, and we were discussing for 1-2 years. And at one point, I had come more than 5, 6, 7 meetings in Delhi. Just before 1985, I was a little aggressive at one of the meetings. I just said, what is the meaning of this? For the last 1 year, 1.5 years, you're only telling about this get together, and what are you? Why don't you propose and do something and form this? So I think the seniors were a little not very happy in my sort of, aggressively putting this idea. But there were some people who supported me. Then the 1985 SAARC summit was due to be held in Bangladesh 6 months ahead of that time. So at that meeting in Delhi, I formally proposed that I come from Sri Lanka. I am formally proposing that we, all of us seated down here, agree and pass a resolution that we should start this formation. And then the name of SAARC Chamber of Commerce was born. Then they said, how to be inaugurate it. I said, you don't have to think, because in 6 months' time, the heads of states of the SAARC countries are going to meet in Bangladesh. So this is the best time we form and then go to Bangladesh and tell the heads of states of all these 7 countries that we have formed into a SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And then this will be accepted by the heads of state. Then you get a formal inauguration. So it was agreed, and Bangladesh undertook to have us presented to the SAARC summit. That is how SAARC Chamber of Commerce was born. Well, you see, if you want to personify Mr. Inam, in my opinion at that time, from the vision that I have of him, he was a very aggressively visionary man. He had vision, which none of us had at that time. He had based his vision on the European Union mainly. And then he came and convinced us, what are we all doing in each country? Why don't we form into a position? So therefore, he had that ability to convince others, push us into this idea and get us all together. And he was a very nice person. He was not arrogant, he was not aggressive, but he was a persuasive person. He was very kind to all of us. He liaised with the Indian people, Bangladeshi people, Sri Lanka and other people very nicely. So we all accepted him as a person to lead us. That is how Mr. Inam is in my memory. His role was founding role. If not for him, none of us would have come together. He inculcated in us the importance of our 7 countries coming together, discussing our problems and convincing our governments to help us, business people of these 7 countries, to get together and achieve what we want for our own benefit. He actually arranged some of the delegations to go to Europe. We went to the Brussels Union, we went to Hamburg Chamber of Commerce, we went to Frankfurt. He showed us how the European Union was working. And at that time, Mr. Inam was our leader. And from Pakistan, I think at that time, Mustajab Hassan was there. Then none of the new people, but at that time Inam was the only person with Mustajab Hassan and them from Pakistan. From India, Mr. Potar, late Mr. Kasilwal, and Mr. Mahesh Saharia from Calcutta. Then from Nepal, Suraj Vaidya, he and I were the youngest, Mr. Suraj Vaidya, Padma Jyoti. And from Bangladesh, there was Mr. Mahbubur Rahman, who is now the president of the ICCI. Then Mr. Doha, Shamsud Doha. Then from Sri Lanka, my senior, Mr. Pereira, and myself. Then from Maldives, I think at that time there was nobody who came. So Bhutan also, I think Mr. Ugen Dorji was also involved in that. So he went and showed us how European Union works. He took us to these chambers for us to learn how a formation of a SAARC Chamber of Commerce could take place. During that time, there was telex. There was no mobile phones. Telex was the medium of construction for business and for every telex, you know telex. So this is how we used to get notices. Postal we used to get, but telex was the medium of communication. That was much later. SAPTA came in, preferential trade agreement, I think somewhere in the late 90s. So each one of our countries were looking out for our own personal benefits and business. So we proposed and got the preferential trade agreement accepted by all the heads of state. We presented to the summits after the Bangladesh summit. There was some other summit. I think SAPTA was accepted, and there were preferential tariffs given to each one of our countries. Initial activity was, I think, very significant purely because we came to know each other from each of these countries. By our forming this SAARC chamber, businessmen of one country came to know the businessmen of the other country. Now, for example, businessmen of India came to face with Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal. Otherwise, we wouldn't have ever come across. Today, we are enjoying the benefit of our relationship because we know them personally. We know some business have been created. I very well know how some business from India, Pakistan was created. And Sri Lanka benefited also, Nepal also, Bangladesh. So we were able to tap each other's resources. Not to a great extent, at least initially we were able to move forward and contact businesses. Definitely was a difficult task, purely because of the South Asian regions, conflicts, political conflicts, right? But I think we were all interested in moving forward with our business interests, whilst knowing certain political conflicts are there between 1, 2 or 3 countries. But we were independent countries also, like Maldives, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan. We were able to overcome that purely because of our personal relationship, personal commitments, and personal interests. And we were looking forward for every 3 months to have a SAARC meeting in each of these capitals so that we can meet people, come to know more and more people. That was the most important success. I know very well, because when I used to chair meetings, thanks to my country, Sri Lanka, I am an independent country. I come from an independent state. Then my personal relationship, my personality, I was able to make friends from all the 7 countries, from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, all became my friends. Therefore, I was accepted as a common friend of all. Now, whenever I chair meetings, I always had problems between when Indian delegate proposes something, suddenly I will have a Pakistani delegate getting up and conflicting with that. And of course, Bangladesh was not that much, but other countries did not do. But on certain occasions, it became very, very fiery. Then, the time that I thought I must put a stop to this, I had to very strongly tell the 2 delegates, you are 2 people from 2 countries. We are 7 countries here, 5 people, independent people are there. You please settle your domestic problems outside the SAARC meeting. Don't bring that, your domestic problems, into our meeting. Therefore, I think, although they were not very happy, but they accepted me and they never blamed me for that. 2 important and very significant achievements during my chairmanship. Now, first I will start with the business conclave. I am proud, humbly proud, to say I am the initiator of this business conclave. That happened by accident. I was chairing a meeting in New Delhi at the FICCI headquarters of a SAARC matter. Then it started at 9 and we were to break at 12. And I was conducting the meeting, and there was this conflict between the India and Pakistan person. Then I had to tick them off, and I asked them to not bring these things, and I conducted the meeting. And everybody liked it and appreciated that. Then we broke for lunch. When we broke for lunch, when I was walking out, there came a gentleman from the World Bank who was also in the audience. He has been invited for this meeting, some special important trade facilitation or some meeting. He came and said, Mr. Hashim, I congratulate you for conducting this meeting in such a nice manner. You were able to resolve a lot of problems. I said, yes, thank you very much. He said, I have a proposal for you. I said, what is the proposal? World Bank would like to partner the SAARC Chamber of Commerce on a project. So I saw World Bank. And I first asked him, are you going to give us money? He said, no, it's not money. Because I want a proposal for you. Do you know about Davos in Switzerland? I said, yes, I have heard about it. We want to bring a mini Davos for the SAARC region. Then I said, what? Explain to me. He said, Davos is happening. All the business leaders, country leaders come to Davos, discuss business of the world. SAARC region is a big region. Now you're merging. Why don't you have a summit of the... I said, yes, we can have. They said, we are prepared to. I forget that gentleman's name. I am prepared to help you. World Bank will come as knowledge partners for you. I said, very good. I'm here for 2 more days. Give me the proposal. The evening he came. Then I went to the FICCI Secretary General, Dr. Amit Mitra at that time, a very, very renowned economist. I went and told him, Dr. Mitra, he said, fantastic idea, Hashim Sahab. I think we should do. I said, I don't know how to do it. He said, don't worry. I will take the responsibility. I will be there with you. I will lead it. You just come and be our leader. Then I picked up Mr. Mahesh Saharia from Kolkata at that time. He was also EC member of the SAARC as the financial person for this SAARC business conclave. Then from there it moved, then I went back to my country. Mr. Dr. Mitra used to be in contact with me by telex and sometimes telephone. So we were progressing, and we have focused this for the, I think 6 months later or something. I think by that time, I think Dr. Mitra and Mahesh Saharia and a few others, Suraj and all the people, we were able to get a very fine team. I still remember the Minister of Commerce at that, Kamal Nath, Minister of Commerce of India at that time. Then we got other ministers from all other regions to come for this, for the business conclave. And that business conclave was the first. And I was able to chair that meeting on the days with Mr. Manmohan Singh on my left, and on the table there were only two names, Dr. Manmohan Singh and Mr. Macky Hashim. Everybody was on the audience. That instant was a great. And of course, opening welcome speech, I was able to do a very good speech. Dr. Manmohan Singh was very good. He said, anytime we support you, come on, we carry on. That's how the business first comes. And that business conference went for 3 days. And they were very successful, very well attended. Everybody came for that. You see, China-South Asia Business Forum, at that time, China was tapping at the door of South Asia. And, you know, politically, some other country in our SAARC region did not want China to come into this picture. But they have also been tapping at the door of the SAARC summit to come. Finally, at one day, we got an invitation from the CCPIT of China, which is, of course, the most important business body of China. China cabinet and the political section is one, but CCPIT is China Chamber for the International Promotion of Trade. They are the people who control the business and trade of China. They sent an invitation. We discussed it at one of our executive committee meetings, and everybody sort of supported it. Then I sent the confirmation, said that, and I was invited to come to Yunnan province, Kunming, for the Kunming fair. And they were having import-export fair and a business conference, right? Then they said, we are going to sign an MOU. And that is the time that we signed the MOU with Mr. Van Jeffy, who was the chairman of the CCPIT, and I as chairman of the SAARC. When we signed, you know, China, whatever they do it in a grand style, right? Both of us were seated down. And right behind us were the 5 ambassadors, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Maldivian ambassador was not there, Sri Lanka. So they were all behind me when I signed. So which was a confirmation of all the countries. So that is how we started. That was a very important position for us for the SAARC, because you see, every time Pakistan and India, although they were wanting to do business, they had this problem of Wagah border, you know, the Indian goods coming to Pakistan, Pakistan goods going in India. At that time, Pakistan Chamber of Commerce, Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce, the FICCI on one side, they were all the time bringing SAARC Chamber to come and do something. At that time, Mr. Magoon from Pakistan was the industrial advisor to Mr. Nawaz Sharif, Prime Minister of Pakistan. And from the Indian side, with Dr. Mitra was there, and FICCI was instrumental for the governmental side. Then we proposed and told them, these are our problems. You know, the trucks from India unable to cross Pakistan trucks, and as a result of which, the cost of trade was high. So we were able to convince the Pakistani government and the Indian government under Mr. Vajpayee. They agreed to open up the Wagah border and help trade to be facilitated and the cost of trade to be brought down. So in that, I must give credit to Mr. Magoon Saab of Pakistan at that time. He was instrumental in getting that done. And of course, from our Indian side, Mr. Dr. Mitra and few other, and Mr. Podar and Mr. Kasilwal, both of them. They were very, very supportive. And because of their influence, I, as chairman of the SAARC, was able to bring both these countries together to a very happy position. One thing I would say is, as chairman of the SAARC Chamber of Commerce, I had the fullest cooperation of each of these federations of each of these countries. Suraj was with me throughout at that time. Mr. Ugain Dorji. Then we had seniors like Mr. Podar, Mr. Kasilwal from India, Mr. Mahmood Rahman, then Salman Rahman, Mr. Doha from the Bangladesh Federation. From the Pakistani side, we had all those people. So that, my tenure was a bridging tenure of all these countries to come together. When there's a meeting, all of them came. And whenever I said, stop or sit down, they all listened to me. So that was a great achievement because they accepted me. That is the most great achievement for me. You see, that is a known fact. You see, the conflict, the SAARC region is 7 countries, now 8 countries. Everybody wants to do business with each other. Everybody likes each other. People to people contact. Nobody dislikes another country person. Everybody likes. See the people who have come here today, right? Only stumbling block is the political conflict between 2 big countries. The governments which come, they have the will to sort it out. But their will cannot be translated into action purely because of reasons on both sides not to allow this to happen. Well, you see, if you are asking me the question of opportunity, you write a book. You see, this is a region of nearly 24% of the world's population. It's a region of 26% of the youth population. This is a region of wealth. You have all the raw materials that you want for industrial production or any other. All these countries put together, they have agricultural reserves, they have minerals, they have waterways, they have more than anything else. They have the talented people, workforce. In economics, they say, if you want to succeed in business, you have to three M's. Money, market, and manpower. All 3 is available here. Do you think this region doesn't have money? They have enough money if they want to invest in each other. Look at the investment that India has made in Bangladesh. Right? You don't have manpower. What manpower? Now your people are going abroad to do that job. The talented manpower is here. And what is the market? You have a market of 1.4 billion people. You produce anything you can sell in this region. So, what are we lacking? Opportunity is there. Challenges are there. We have only to utilize it and cement it. You see, SAARC Chamber of Commerce, we have been using that as a vehicle to project our business, commerce, trade interests and influence the government and make them understand. Now today the subject matter we are discussing in these last 2 days is connectivity. Now we have come a distance in that subject matter. You know, motor trade agreement between the landlocked countries is one of those things. Now before that, we have actually proposed many good things. We have proposed transport way back 10 years ago to facilitate transport between the 7 countries. We have proposed infrastructure improvements. Governments are taken into consideration. Not only did they open the Baga border, they opened the Bangladesh-Indian border also. India and Nepal has certain things, and Bhutan. Now earlier Nepal was unable to send their goods from Nepal to Chittagong port because they had to go through India. We were able to get that sorted out, right? Now, but there is a lot of things still. Now look, for example, I had proposed at that time when I was chairman also. We wanted a SAARC standard for our products. We produce a lot of things and export to the world. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal. Do we have a standard? The standard that we utilize is British standard, American standard, or Japanese standard. Why do we want that? Can't we? And we proposed and we did a study on it and we have a document on it. Now, for example, accreditation, right? Accreditation is nothing. Accreditation, all our countries, for any accreditation, we have to go to Singapore, right? Arbitration, we have an arbitration document which we have passed. Arbitration, to have arbitration within ourselves. If any one of our countries' business people have a problem with either any one of our countries within or outside, they put in the agreement arbitration either in Paris or in Singapore, which is a costly affair. We have passed that. Arbitration councils were formed, but we didn't have the implementation from the governments. These are three important factors, which even now I tell we can save a lot of money if we can put this into practice. The key message would be this: realize the importance of the SAARC Chamber of Commerce as a very strong vehicle for you to travel and make the governments of these 7 countries or 8 countries realize the importance of trade, commerce, and investment within ourselves. That should be our target. Make use of what we have done in the SAARC Chamber in the past. As I told you, these few things. Utilize them. Make the governments understand. Aggressively, don't fight the governments. Nobody should fight governments. But you should go with them and make them understand and convince them and get their acceptance and approval. That is my message. One word is look ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really nice to have you, and you were sharing a few glimpses of the past, and you, for your advice to the upcoming president and the member office bearers of the SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I want to tell you that I enjoy my relationship with the SAARC Chamber of Commerce right from the founding days. And I continue to enjoy that with all the people who still come into this. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.